The smell of red dust and wood smoke lingered in the air as the sun dipped behind the hills of Odogbo village. Roosters called out, women returned from the stream balancing buckets on their heads, and tired farmers wiped sweat from their brows. Inside a small clay compound, a 13-year-old girl named Miriam sat peeling cassava with blistered fingers. She had no idea her life was about to be signed away that evening. "Miriam, come inside," her mother's voice called sharply. Janet, her mother, was a widow. Life had hardened her since her husband's death 4 years earlier. With 5 mouths to feed and no job, she scraped by selling smoked fish and cooking for rich households. Today, however, she had ironed her only good wrapper and swept the house twice. Something was different. Inside the room, a stranger sat on a woven mat. He was much older, gray-bearded, round-bellied, and reeked of palm wine and tobacco. His name was Chief Collard. The way he looked at Miriam made her skin crawl. Her mother stood stiff beside him. "He has come to take you as a wife," Janet said, without looking at her. Miriam blinked, unsure if she'd heard right. "As a what?" "A wife. Chief has paid your bride price. It's time you became a woman. You'll live well. He has land, cattle, everything." "I'm not ready," Miriam whispered, her chest tightening. "You'll be fine." "You're lucky," Janet said. "Some girls your age are already mothers." Miriam stared in disbelief. Her legs felt like wood. She wanted to run, but her feet stayed glued to the floor. That night, she was given a small travel bag, 2 wrappers, a necklace, and pushed into the back of Chief Collard's car. The ride to his compound felt like a funeral procession. At the gate stood 3 other women, each older, watching her with blank expressions. One of them whispered, another one, and turned away. Chief's house was large but lifeless. There was no laughter, only commands and cold eyes. Miriam was given a small room and told she would serve the household, obey the chief, and grow into her role. What followed were months of silence, fear, and stolen youth. She scrubbed floors, cooked, fetched water, and endured nights she didn't have the language to describe. When she tried to speak of school, she was told education was for city girls. When she tried to rest, she was called lazy. When she cried, no one cared. Even the other wives remained distant, trapped in their own private prisons. Some pitied her, but most had long stopped feeling anything at all. Then one morning, while scrubbing the front porch, she overheard a radio playing from inside one of the rooms. It was a teacher on an educational program reading poetry aloud. Miriam froze, her hand gripping the sponge as tears welled up in her eyes. The voice triggered a memory, her old teacher, Mr. Ayo, telling her once, "Your words are strong, Miriam. Never forget them." That night, as the compound fell asleep, Miriam made up her mind. She packed her few belongings into a plastic bag, crept out through a broken part of the wall, and disappeared into the darkness. She walked barefoot for hours. Her feet bled, her stomach growled, but she pressed on. Dawn found her collapsed by a dusty road where a woman selling mangoes found her. That woman, Auntie Ijeoma, took pity and gave her water and food. After listening to Miriam's story, she called a youth pastor in town, Pastor Chika, who came quickly and took Miriam under his care. He didn't ask too many questions. He didn't demand anything from her. He just said, "You are safe now." And for the first time in years, Miriam believed it. He connected her with a girls' shelter run by a soft-spoken woman named Mama Esther. There, Miriam found other girls like her. Survivors. Fighters. She enrolled in school, though she was years behind. She read every book she could find. She cried at night. She screamed into pillows. But she also healed. Her anger turned into focus. Her pain became fuel. She passed exams with top marks. She joined debates. She volunteered to teach other rescued girls. When she got her high school certificate, she cried for the first time out of joy. Then came university. With the help of scholarships and kind strangers, she studied education and community development. Her goal was clear: to return to the same village that took her childhood and build something they had never given her: opportunity. 15 years after she had been sold like a goat, she returned to Odogba. She arrived in a Toyota van with a team of volunteers, teachers, and builders. Her hair was braided, her dress vibrant, her voice steady. She wasn't the little girl peeling cassava anymore. At first, the villagers stared. Whispers flew like leaves in the wind. "Isn't that Janet's daughter? I thought she was dead." She came back with people. The same square where she had been given away was now the site where she laid the first foundation block for Odogba Girls Learning Center. The elders gathered, unsure of what to make of her. Some applauded. Others grumbled. But none could ignore her presence. Miriam didn't seek revenge, she sought transformation. She walked to the edge of the crowd one afternoon and locked eyes with her mother. Janet stood still, thinner than Miriam remembered. Her eyes held regret, shame, and something fragile: hope. She stepped forward, her voice barely audible. "You came back." "I had to," Miriam replied. "I know I failed you. You sold me." Tears slipped from Janet's eyes. "I was poor. I was scared. I didn't know better." "I was poor too," Miriam said. "And scared. But I still made a better choice." "I'm sorry," Janet whispered. Miriam looked away for a long moment. Then she said, "I'm not here for your apology. I'm here so no other girl will suffer what I did." Over the next year, Miriam worked like a woman possessed. The school rose from the dust. It had classrooms with fans, desks, books, and teachers who cared. The villagers began to bring their children, girls especially. They saw what was possible. They saw what change looked like in human form. One young girl named Zainab reminded Miriam of herself. Quiet, sharp, with a hunger for knowledge. One day, Miriam found her reading under a tree during break and asked, "Why don't you play?" Zainab looked up, her eyes glowing. "Books are my friends." Miriam smiled. "They were mine too." When the school opened officially, the local chief and government officers came. So did the press. Cameras flashed. Speeches were made. But the most powerful moment came when Miriam stood before the crowd and said, 15 years ago, I was sold from this village. I walked away with nothing but pain. Today, I return not with anger, but with a gift. This school is for every girl who was told she wasn't worth teaching. For every mother who didn't know another way. For every child who believes they are forgotten." The crowd was silent. Then the applause came, first soft, then thunderous. Janet stood at the back, unable to speak. Her hands trembled. When the children began filing into their new classrooms, she wept openly. Miriam didn't return to live in Odogba. But she visited often. The school grew into more than a learning center. It became a safe haven. A place for healing. A symbol. Miriam went on to found 3 more schools in other villages. She spoke at international conferences. Her name appeared in newspapers and education boards. But no matter how far she rose, she never forgot where she started.